Well, hey, everybody, welcome to another CCA in Action podcast. This is a story driven podcast speaking with CCA clinicians who have worked with our members recently during crisis or escalated moments in their life where they need additional support. I'm very excited today to be talking with Lisa Kelley, an intake counselor for us at CCA. And Lisa, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Just so our listeners understand, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, sure. Well, I have been in the field of social work for a little over 26 years. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I am currently an intake counselor for CCA.
So, why don't we just dive in, Lisa? Why don't you tell us about the case that you worked and how we were able to help them?
Okay, certainly. So as soon as I accepted the call, I knew immediately that the member was in distress. He was crying for help. He repeated several times that he just didn't know what to do. And he really couldn't provide any information at that point in time, just due to his emotional state. And so I told him for us to just take a minute. And I just didn't want him to feel pressured to talk because I knew it would be really difficult for him to do at that point. So I then led him through a grounding exercise, and I followed that with a breathing exercise. And at that point in time, he was a little more grounded and able to provide some additional information. And I also just reassured him a lot at that point in time that we were definitely going to help him. I wasn't sure how we would help him, but I knew we had resources that could help him.
So what happened next?
Well, I started off by just asking basic information. I didn't want to jump in too fast. He was able to, continue to try to regulate himself as I was asking those basic questions. And then I began easing into assessing his situation. He could not tell me what was wrong. And actually stated, I can't tell you what's wrong because I don't know what's wrong. So, of course, I continued to ask questions, and he was able to share with me that he had been struggling with alcoholism for several years. And he remained substance-free for 3 months up until the 4 days before this call.
Gotcha.
So he explained that he was averaging 15 beer and or liquor drinks each night. After gathering that information, he actually shared another layer. He shared that he had a medical condition that was causing him severe pain. And he had not been able to have the surgery that was needed that would help with the pain. I learned a little later in the call that he had even additional medical conditions, including an unhealthy liver. And these conditions were preventing him from being able to access the surgery that he needed. And around this time, I was also able to conduct a full risk assessment just to ensure that he was not having thoughts of harming himself, which he wasn't. He genuinely was needing help and asking for help.
Wow, what a tough place to be for this individual.
Yes, exactly. He continued to have ups and downs and experienced extreme emotional dysregulation throughout this entire call. So it was very challenging. It was very emotional at one point, sharing that he felt like he was a failure. He felt like he was just failing his family one time after another. And I learned from him that he had never received treatment for his substance use disorder. And when I explored this with him and explored his desire for treatment, he said with passion, I'm absolutely open to treatment. And he explained, he said, I can't keep failing. I need help. And so at that point, due to his emotional state, his inability to function, and just due to me knowing that there were some health concerns there as well, it was my assessment that he needed help immediately. Me simply asking him if he was open to treatment and him being so ready to accept that, I was able to, assure him that we could somehow get him help for that. And then at that time, this call kind of took an interesting turn.
Oh,
It turns out his girlfriend actually heard him on the phone with me and came into the room where he was to check on him. And she then eventually actually joined the call so that I was talking with both of them.
okay.
And she shared some additional information with me, such as that she was concerned about him, that she had never seen him in this type of condition, and that he'd been acting oddly and expressing a desire to escape over the past 3 or 4 days.
Okay.
And because she was there, I was actually able to get her to help. And so after, consulting with one of my supervisors, I recommended to both of them that he go to the closest emergency department so that he could be medically assessed. And also because I knew they would be able to make arrangements for him to detox safely, which was probably the most important thing at this point in time. He was willing to go, and I actually stayed on the line with them while they got ready and actually got in their car. I stayed on the call until they were on the road, actually on the way to the hospital. And they agreed to give us a call back when they arrived so that we would know that they had arrived.
To hear them commit to calling us back,
Right.
I think affirms just how much support you're able to give in the moment that they were even willing to agree to this. So when we heard back from them, how did it go from there?
Well, they did call back within the hour, which I was very thankful for and actually relieved. Made me feel better knowing that they had arrived and that he was somewhere where he could get the help he needed. And from that point forward, that was kind of the end of my involvement with this call. But the case was then assigned to our complex care team so that they could follow up with the member and provide any interim support that was needed. And I do know that they were eventually able to confirm that after being assessed at the hospital, he was admitted for further care. He called out of desperation, in distress, needing help. And, it felt good on my end to know that we would be able to, and we were able to help him. I was able to confidently tell him that we would help him. And so, in addition to feeling great and hopeful that he really got what he needed, it also offers some job satisfaction. I mean, when you work for a company where know that you're helping somebody that way, when you end your day, you leave with a good feeling that you've helped someone.
Yeah, you really do. Lisa, thank you for coming on today and sharing your story with us.
Thank you, and thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. Well, thanks everybody for listening. And until we speak again, take care and be well.